Hey everybody, it is April 29th, 2009. I am Sonic Suns, and this is my new handheld camera, the fourth that I've owned in the past 9 months or so. Hope this one works. Anyway, you know what's a random topic that's been buzzing around through my head for a while now? Everything. But to give a specific example, time capsules. And I sort of like the idea. I like the notion of having, I don't know, a backup system to humanity, essentially. Which is why I'm thinking of titling this video Audacious Time Capsules, because they're the regular kind, where, you know, maybe your family or your school or something puts some stuff in a big old box of, I don't know, concrete or something. What do you make time capsules out of? Gee, I don't know. Look this up maybe. You know, put some stuff in and you dig it up in like 10 years or whatever. Or maybe longer than that. Some things go off for like 100 years or whatever. I always wondered what you would do if you had a time capsule for, like, ever. You know, this time capsule is meant to last at least 1,000 years, let's say. And there are a couple of things like that. I've heard of the crypt of civilization is meant to last several thousand years or something like that. It's got a bunch of stuff on microfilm. I'm like, microfilm? That's already incredibly obsolete. Oh, dear, what will it be in 3,000 years from now? Which is one of the problems of designing a time capsule. You gotta make sure that whoever gets to it eventually can figure out what the heck you were supposed to be communicating with this, which I guess is why we generally put actual stuff in the capsule, like, you know, an actual object, and theoretically they can figure out what it was meant for, even if they can't read, you know, any associated text or whatnot. But a few ideas. You know that Doomsday Vault they built off in Europe-ish or something like that? I think it cost like $9 million to build, and I was like, $9 million? That's nothing. You see how much we're spending over here in America? Gee, we should have a dozen of these things. Doomsday Vaults. We'll stack them up with seeds. So the vault is for. It's got all these seeds in it, just in case, you know, crap happens environmental-wise and we need to like restart seed banks and stuff and restart the agriculture. And a lot of people like to talk about how, you know, in case there was a nuclear attack or something, even this thing would survive, which is generally not the point of the thing, because, you know, if there was a nuclear attack, then we'd all kind of be screwed anyway, whether or not we have a giant seed vault somewhere else. Mainly it's a backup to existing seed banks. But I like the notions of backups, you know, of having that foresight, of being prepared for whatever may happen. Time capsules. Audacious time capsules. What you could do. Imagine a system of these things. That's what I would like to do, or could do even now, I suppose. Imagine, like, every year, the nation or some international body, I don't know, every year you put down a time capsule someplace that's supposed to last for 10 years. Every 10 years you put down one that's supposed to last a century. Every century you put down one that's supposed to last a millennia, something like that. Which then we totally missed out on this latest millennia that happened only 9 years ago. We should have, yeah, anyway. Have a rotating thing that way, and you could have an overall record. You know, I think it's interesting, the glass capsule concept. I don't mean a capsule which is literally made of glass, because even if that's super cool plexiglass or something, it's not going to last forever. The notion of glass capsule, which is a term that I made up myself, and hopefully I get to get it publicized or something, I don't know. The notion is that you can somehow make it so that other people can figure out what's inside the capsule without necessarily having to break it open. That's the thing with the time capsule. You get to break it open once, and everything's sort of contaminated, and you better hope that people are recording things when they first open it. Particularly if you're thinking of something that's going to last for 1,000 years or whatnot. You know, you don't know exactly what circumstances it may be opened. But I thought to myself, okay, what if you had a computer in a time capsule that's running off of some sort of incredible atomic device or something to give it battery life forever? I'm not sure exactly how that would work. But, you know, whatever. And if you could have a record of everything that's inside of it, everything that's inside the capsule, all the data that's been stored, and it's just transmitting this data, you know, through radio waves or something, and just, you know, repeats that over and over and over. So then anybody who knows anything about the radio waves can just, like, you know, look it up and record everything or interpret everything without having to mess with anything. That's kind of cool. Furthermore, that way you could have a sort of a rolling backup system, as it were. Like, you have a capsule and it's sending out radio waves, and then, like, you know, 50 years later, I don't know, it's getting kind of hard. You know, it's an obsolete radio wave technology we're using here, and it's a weird encoding system, and no one uses that anymore. But we have enough memory of it to record whatever it was in there, and then make a new capsule, which has the newest form of automatic transmission thing. You know, in another 50 years or so, you'd have another one. That would be kind of interesting. You know, I think is really neat. There's this giant geodesic dome in Antarctica, which by itself is really cool. They use it as a central base there's a number of bases in Antarctica. They're all science bases, generally. And this is just a big old thing. It's basically a tent, really. Even though it looks like a solid structure from the outside. I've seen a documentary about the inside. It's just this big old, like, empty space, and they had, like, smaller buildings inside there with science-y people or something like that. They eventually had to abandon it because, well, it turns out there's a lot of snow in Antarctica. I know that sounds sort of obvious already, but the thing with that is, although it doesn't snow from the sky very much, there's snow lying around, and it gets blown around by wind, and so wherever you have, like, a door, it, you know, stuff piles up, one way or the other. Wherever there's, because the stuff just gets blown around across the landscape, just blowing. And if there's ever, like, a building in the way, it gets smushed up against the side of the building. And if there happens to be a door on any side of the building, which presumably there is, unless maybe you have a door on the top, that gets all blocked with snow, and it was a very, very tough measure to constantly deal with all the snow removal. So they built themselves another thing, which is on stilts, which is really cool, and it's nothing to do with time capsules. But I was thinking to myself, there's a giant geodesic dome in the middle of Antarctica, which has been, I think, mostly abandoned by this point, and there's probably plans to completely abandon it at this point. I'll probably put up a link with more relevant information. But yeah, you guys are going to do something with this giant geodesic dome thing? It's geodesic domes. They naturally last long. You ever heard of R. Buckminster Fuller and all the work he did on that, inventing them and so forth? Domes have a lot of cool properties that way, of being very efficient use of resources. And even if it isn't strong enough as it needs to be, you could build like another dome on the inside of it and make a double-layer dome or something. It's in Antarctica. No one lives there. People are very unlikely to nuke it or anything. I'm pretty sure even the worst environmental crap isn't going to do much of anything, because there's not much going on down there anyway. You know? Unless a meteor hits it or something, but what are we going to do? So if we could, say, just on those planes sending out science equipment to Antarctica, is there a little extra room and we could put, like, time capsule stuff? And then she just, like, fill the whole thing. Have the whole organizations, but this would be kind of cool. There's little things. I think the Vlog Brothers mentioned this a little while ago, brain crack. And the notion of just ideas that are in your head. You have to express them at some point, otherwise they're just bouncing around and not doing anyone any good. So this is what I'm doing. I do this a lot in my videos. And as you can see, I have a lot of pent-up need to talk into a camera for the purposes of internet video stuff, because I went so long without a camera. Anyway, have a whole system in there. You have various things of various different languages and so forth. A whole bunch of different artifacts, things written down on like paper. Not really paper though. You need something that would last a long time. Just carve it into stone tablets or something. I don't know. I believe the Long Now Foundation. Is that a foundation? The Long Now people. They do a couple of projects. One of them is to document all the world's languages. But you think they're documented already? Well, no, there's a whole bunch of really, really obscure languages that, like, there's only, like, 100 people that speak them, and the language is dying out because those 100 people are like, gee, maybe we all should just learn something more popular. But they're documenting all this stuff before the languages go out. I'm like, that's cool. Let's get a copy of that, and then make it, like, 20 copies while you're at it, just for, backup purposes. Put that in the thing, so then, aliens or future humans or whatever can come back and be like, oh, hey, cool, look at this. We have, how languages work. That'd be neat. That'd be really neat.